Today I want to talk a little bit about trust, who we trust, who we choose to trust, and why. And look, if you've been watching these videos, you know where I'm coming from. I'm trying to open up the conversation across the aisle. I'm not trying to win an argument. I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. I'm not calling anybody names. That's just not what I'm doing. I am stubbornly insisting that we can reason together. And I still believe in that with all my heart. So, Trump supporters, if I have any Trump supporters watching, and I hope I do, welcome. And I want to talk to you about something that I'm concerned about. And I appreciate you hearing me out. From where I sit, I have witnessed, since Trump was elected, a steady erosion in trust in our formerly trusted resources, experts, agencies on the part of Trump supporters. And it's troubling to me because up until Trump, you all still trusted a lot of these resources, if not all. Were newspapers ever the enemy of the people before Trump? Before Trump said that they were? Did you ever consider them the enemy of the people? The enemy of the people. That's a very big statement. And you know, there's a great tradition of journalism, great tradition, and there's a whole set of ethics that goes with being a responsible journalist. Not that everybody is. Listen, before I go further, I'm not naive. I know that there is corruption. I know that there's slanted news, and I know there's corruption in government. I'd be a fool to try to say that there isn't. It's not that I want us all to naively believe everybody and everything that they say, but I want to just start to lay this out for you because it's now a lot of sources that have been dismissed. One of them is the press, the free press, which has always been an important part of our structure in this country, and we've relied on them to expose wrongdoing and expose non-truths, and that's what they are expected to do. And I want to repeat something I've said before, which is a bias or a spin or a slant is not the same as lying. Lying, reporting false facts, false data, just false reporting, that's a whole other accusation. And if you believe that the entire mainstream media is all connected and coordinated in an attack and a left-wing conspiracy, I don't think they could possibly be that organized. And I think that would be, it's hard for me to believe that every single person within those organizations would sign on for something like that. I think it sort of strains reality. Now, I've seen Trump fire people who have a proven track record for service to this country, a proven track record for expertise, a proven track record for telling us the truth. And he has fired them because what they're saying doesn't line up with what he's saying. We've seen that happen. And often he has replaced those people with less competent people who will toe the line. If I'm wrong, please tell me. If I'm off, please tell me. I don't think I am. I mean, I know I'm not. I've seen this happen. Think about Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci was a trusted expert in his field until he and Trump fell out. While he was still standing next to Trump at the podium, you Trump supporters were still going, yes, Dr. Fauci, he's an expert in his field. And now all of a sudden, you're calling him a fraud and a lefty and a communist and all kinds of, I mean, I don't know what you're calling him, but discrediting him completely, a man who has dedicated his life to the medical profession. And as I understand it, you've had to also vilify the FBI and the CIA and the Department of Homeland Security and God knows what else, because all of those groups have, at one time or another, clashed with Trump in terms of what they report and what they say is true and against what he says is true. And again, these are agencies that have been around for a long time, tasked with protecting the United States, and again, not squeaky clean, of course not. But to believe that those whole agencies have just gone down the tubes and become part of this big conspiracy. News networks, television networks, for a long time, I always refer to back when there were only three channels. If it was on the news, it was true. We just knew it was true. And maybe we were naive, but I think for the most part, what the news was saying was true. They were reporting, they were checking, they were vetting, and they were reporting. And now they've all been dismissed. The mainstream media, the news channels, have all been declared liars by Trump and his followers. And now here's the mind blower: Fox, which was the go-to network for you on the right, forever. I mean, I don't know forever, but as long as I can remember, that's been where you tune in to get the quote-unquote facts. You like the anchors, you like the reporters, you like the shows, you like what they have to say, you like the way they go after the liberals, right? And now, some of what they're reporting doesn't line up with what Trump says, and they're now being called part of the left-wing conspiracy, the vast left-wing conspiracy, which is pretty silly if you think about it. Come on. And the courts. There are judges who are dismissing these lawsuits that Trump is attempting to bring, that are questioning the outcome of the election. They're not finding evidence of fraud, and they're dismissing the cases. And you're dismissing them. The entire justice system, corrupt, right? So once you've dismissed all these experts, once you've said, I don't trust Fauci, I don't trust the CIA, I don't trust the FBI, I don't trust the courts, the newspapers, the television news, don't trust any of them. They're all part of the conspiracy. Who's left? Who's left? One guy. This guy, Donald Trump. And the people who line up with him. Even if they're guys in their basement with a podcast, or people who don't identify themselves and live behind an alias, they're all okay with you. They're all trusted sources because they say what Trump's saying. And now we go back to something that I've been mocked for, and that is the discussion about the inauguration. Look, this was the first big lie that I was aware of. Okay, Trump got elected, and he and his administration insisted that his inauguration had the highest attendance of any inauguration in history, period. And we know that's not true because there are people who report that stuff. They count. They take pictures. And so if you're a Trump supporter, you had to convince yourself that what you saw wasn't the real story, that you couldn't trust your own eyes, or that he was joking. And you know he wasn't. You know he wasn't, if you're honest with yourself. And so why does it matter? It's a frivolous little petty thing, right? It matters because you are now putting supreme trust in someone who is known to lie. And they're along this online. If you want to go check for yourself and see if you agree that he's been a liar or not, this is going to be up to you. As always, I am not trying to convince you. I'm inviting you to have a conversation with yourself because this is between you and your conscience. But if you're reasonable, as I still believe you are, you got to look at this and say, wow, all of a sudden we don't trust any of these formerly relied on sources, and we still trust the guy who lies. And that is dangerous. Honestly, friends, I say it with love, that's how a cult works. That's a cult. That's how a cult works. We go, la, 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 we ignore anything to the contrary. He says the hurricane went that way, we draw a Sharpie line to make it look like it did. He says hydrochloroquine, not approved by the FDA, and you all believe it. And it's a dangerous place to be. And look, I hope you'll believe me when I say this. I worry about you. I'm worried about you. You're my fellow countrymen and women, and I worry about you. I'm starting to really worry about what happens when, for some of you, the bubble bursts and you are confronted with a reality that is so different from what you've been doubling down on. That's going to be traumatic, and I'm worried about it. I don't want that to happen to you. I want logic to prevail. I want truth to prevail, and I also know that long after Trump is out of office, there will be many of you who keep insisting that the election was stolen and keep insisting that whatever, everything that he said has been true, and that he's the greatest president we've ever had. I know some of you are going to keep believing that, and that's okay. It's okay. But at some point, I mean, right now we're dealing with the certification of the election. And, you know, the votes have been counted, it's been called. And if all goes according to the usual protocols and the correct protocols, Joe Biden is going to be in the Oval Office. It's going to happen. And I just think you have to be ready for that, because that's what's true as opposed to what you're being told. Again and again, they're saying there's no evidence of election fraud. And they are people that we should be trusting. That's all I have to say for today. Thank you for sitting through this with me. And, you know, Democrats, don't, you know, if you hate me for this, that's fine, but give a little love to our friends on the right. If some of you find that distasteful, ignore the request. Give them a little love and support. It's going to be a tricky time going forward for them. And that's all. I'll see you next time.